Welcome back to this Real America's Voice Newsbreak. I'm Terrence Bates. President Trump is in Japan right now after touching down earlier this morning. He's set to participate in a bilateral meeting with the country's new prime minister tonight, our time. This will be the first meeting between President Trump and Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi. The two shared a phone call over the weekend during which Takaichi told her American counterpart that strengthening the alliance between her country and the United States is her government's top priority. The commander-in-chief, aka the Peacemaker-in-Chief, started his Asian tour in Malaysia, where he signed the Cambodia-Thailand Peace Treaty. It's one of many deals the president has brokered in order to end wars around the globe. The effects of the ongoing government shutdown are beginning to ratchet up on the American taxpayer and travelers. For instance, the Department of Agriculture says unless the government reopens between now and Saturday, there will be no food aid distribution on November 1st. Plus, the Trump administration says it won't tap into about $5 billion in contingency funds to keep the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP as it's known, up and running. Democrats ask Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins to use those funds, but she won't. The program helps about 1 in 9 Americans buy groceries. In its post announcing the end of the benefits, the USDA writes, quote, "Bottom line, the well has run dry. At this time, there will be no benefits issued November 1st. We are approaching an inflection point for Senate Democrats." And the shutdown is also causing problems at airports from coast to coast. LAX was forced into a ground stop for departing flights thanks to air traffic control staffing shortages. Air traffic controllers are working without getting paid due to the shutdown. Staffing-related delays were also reported in Chicago, Washington, and Newark, New Jersey over the weekend. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy warning travelers to expect flight delays and cancellations in the coming days. Ultimately, he says it comes down to safety. We, of course, will continue to monitor the ongoing situation involving those traffic control workers and the fact that they're not getting paid and calling out sick. In the meantime, let's get you back to your regularly scheduled programming in The Charlie Kirk Show.
Fact first, America first. Welcome back to the Charlie Kirk Show.
Right now is the perfect time to ask yourself some questions. This goes for you too, Alex. I know where you live, so you're going to need this. You never know when things are gonna
burn down. Yeah, I know.
How much food do you have on hand for emergencies? How would you get clean water if the tap went dry tomorrow? What would you do if a storm knocked out the power for a week? If you're anything like me, there's some room for improvement, and that used to be true actually, because I did get a lot of the improvement from these guys. Boxes and boxes and boxes full of My Patriot Supply. Luckily for you, our friends at My Patriot Supply are making disaster preparedness easier and more affordable than ever by giving you over $1,500 worth of emergency food and preparedness gear for free. They just launched their Preparedness Month Mega Kit, and it includes a full year of emergency food, a water filtration system that can purify almost any water source, a solar backup generator, and a lot more. And here's the best part. If you go to mypatriotsupply.com/Kirk, you can get 90 preparedness essentials totaling over $1,500 absolutely free. Head to mypatriotsupply.com/Kirk for full details. That's mypatriotsupply.com/Kirk. So I think there's just too much more Mamdani. We have so much news we're going to get to, but this is just such a rich topic. I want to make sure that we get to all of it. And I believe the clip is, this is on memory, cut 90.
Growing up in the shadow of 9/11, I have known what it means to live with an undercurrent of suspicion. I will always remember the disdain I faced, the way my name could immediately become Muhammad, and how I could return to my city only to be asked in a double-mirrored room at the airport if I had any plan of attacking it. To be Muslim in New York is to expect indignity.
Hold on. Do you have it? Does Zoran Mamdani have any plan of attacking New York City? I would wager, yes, he does. He's doing it politically. He's doing it through the front door, you could argue.
He has vowed to, I feel like if a guy went on TV and said, I'm going to release every single person from Rikers Island, I think that's the plot line of one of the Nolan Batman
Yes,
movies.
yes.
But now he's just doing it, but because he's a politician, it's a it's a
Got
justice reform plan.
A good line of BS. Go ahead, Alex.
No, but that was where Mamdani was saying he's the victim of 9/11. Like,
Yes.
like, not just his aunt who couldn't take the bus.
I
He
am
said it was-
suspicious of him, though. He's like, I've lived under this cloud of suspicion. I'm suspicious of you, proudly.
And also, think about what 9/11 is. It is the single greatest act of intentional violence against Americans in modern history. And he's the guy who said violence is a social construct. It's like when you start adding these data points and you ignore the smile with the toilet bowl teeth grin that he's got with the porcelain whites, then it is very scary if you were reading this on paper. When he presents it, it seems, maybe there's something to it. But when you actually read it, if you read the quotes, these are truly insane quotes.
Yeah,
Well,
we should.
go
I mean,
ahead,
we
yeah.
shouldn't even. We should be clear about what it is, because as far as I know, there's no evidence Zoran is a particularly devout Muslim in any way. I don't know that we've ever seen him pray that wasn't for a photo op. Which, in fact, it'd be fun to ask him what the 5 pillars of Islam are. But instead, what he is he's a very real thing you see that is very common on the left. It's like a performative. He is taking the Islamic heritage and he's emphasizing it purely to emphasize that he is like not American and is to some extent anti-American. It's this sort of Islam as the global religious flag of being anti-West, of having a grievance against the West, of wanting to, in his case, plunder and bring down the West. That is what he adopts it as. Otherwise, he's, more or less just a ordinary, cranky Marxist.
Well, it's interesting. So he has this big rally in New York. He gets AOC. He gets Bernie Sanders. He gets Kathy Hochul. And Hakeem Jeffries are now endorsing him. And so, Alex, here's the question.
Yeah.
Is there any daylight between, there's the rally. I mean, this is like 13,000 people came out for Zoran. And you just look at there's a bunch of Sikhs, I believe, behind him. That could be Muslim. I think those are Sikhs, but I'm not sure. But I mean, he is now the
Those are really colorful
standard
turbans.
bearer.
I've never seen turbans those colors before.
Well,
Those are
pastel
colored.
Maybe they're celebrating.
They're really hip.
The alphabet people as well. So here's the thing though. Is there any daylight between the communists and the DSA and the Democrat Party anymore?
Kathy Hochul's quote was, elect Zoran and take back America. Again, you hear them say this in the context of a rally, like, people just say stuff. But if you read these quotes, these are truly threatening. They're threatening. Taking back America, how could this person who just got here a few years ago and is a Ugandan Muslim immigrant, how is he going to take back New York City? That is a truly disturbing concept, and all the Democrats are falling in line because he's the only one with any energy. They're so low energy that they basically have no choice but to follow AOC, which is what they're following into the shutdown. I mean, the shutdown is 100% about Chuck Schumer is afraid of AOC to keep his job. That's what it's about. There's nothing else to it. It's just that. And then you've got all of these old whites who are going to be following Mamdani and AOC, and of course Bernie, the oldest of the whites, who just turned 130 this week.
Well,
so happy birthday to Bernie.
They have zero self-confidence, by the way, and this white guilt is so pervasive on the left. The American right has largely thrown this off because it is deserving of being thrown off. But the American left, if you are a white liberal, you completely endorse this concept that you have something to appease. You have amends to make with minority groups. But by the way, like, we're not that far away where whites are going to be just another minority. I mean, this is how radically the demographics have shifted, even in just my lifetime. But this is what's fascinating. I thought this was a really interesting look, Alex, into the psychology of the American left, because AOC starts giving the screeching spiel and saying, this city was built by the Irish and the Italians and the Jews and the blacks and the Latinos and the native people. It is literally line by line by line in essentially ascending order of the oppression Olympics. This is how she does it, but she divides everybody by their ethnicity. Gone is this concept that we are one people, united by our patriotism, our devotion to country, our love of neighbor. It is simply like grievance group versus grievance group. And here we go. I'll in AOC's own words, 96.
This city was built by the Irish escaping famine, Italians fleeing fascism, Jews escaping Holocaust, Black Americans fleeing slavery and Jim Crow, Latinos seeking a better life, Native people standing to build the freest, toughest, and greatest city on earth.
I will give her credit. I will give her credit. There is a very tall building in downtown Manhattan that was only built because of Muslims.
Really tall one. Might be the tallest one. No, it is.
That was good. That was good, Blake.
if you do a laundry list of which grievance
Tragic.
group built New York, Muslims are not a part of it. Which is, it's funny because you wouldn't even think of it. Like, we would never think of this. We're prepping for a show like this unless they bring it up and they act like the Muslims were a big part of it, which they weren't. And then just going through this laundry list of here are all the various groups. Let's just keep subdividing. It's this really coastal, elite, old school liberal thought, which is not modern. It's not converting anyone. There's no one who's just hearing this for the first time and thinking that's brilliant. These are really stale ideas that she's actually putting out there. And it's interesting because he's so much more talented than she is. And she's sort of the number 2 biggest leader in the party. And he's just leaps and bounds more talented than she is. She sounds so shrill, so screechy. And think about how the party, both leaders of the party live within, a driver and a 5-iron from each other, Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer. It's just a coastal elite party. They're completely out of touch with normal Americans. And if any normal American hears a clip like that, they're not going to go, oh, I trust these people. But so they're probably going to take back New York. But then what happens next? That's the interesting question.
This is the big question, right? So what you rightly identified the cause of the shutdown. It's Chuck Schumer is terrified that AOC is nipping at his heels and that she has the energy of the activist base of the Democrat Party, which is now really the Communist Party. And for a moment there, after November 2024, we asked the question: what is going to happen to the Democrat Party? Are they going to moderate, go to the middle, or are they going to go the way of AOC, Jasmine Crockett, Ilhan Omar, Zoran Mamdani? We now have the answer.
Yeah.
We now have the answer. The last holdouts were Kathy Hochul and Hakeem Jeffries. And what that is actually sort of the vestiges of the old school Democrat Party that was like, hey, we like capitalism, but we just like more distribution of your money. We're going to tax you higher and distribute more because government's the answer. But we still like capitalism. And now we're getting into this new iteration where, because the old dogs have basically folded like a cheap suit, there is no uniting figure like an Obama or a Clinton that can hold together a centrist coalition. And so the powers that be within the American left have completely capitulated. It's almost like the Germans coming into France, and it's just like, the country just folded really quick, and France is the old school Democrats here, and the Germans are going, wow, we took that really easy. Zoran and AOC are going like, wow, that was really easy to take this down.
I think a good symbolism of that is that the Democratic primary in New York, the top candidates were Zoran, and then they were running Andrew Cuomo, who was not the most popular Democrat before, and then had to leave office in disgrace over, you can debate the merits of it, but he basically was a has-been Democrat who's making a comeback where the argument was like he's corrupt but gets things done.
Yeah,
sort of.
This is such an underrated part of the story, is that the only alternative offered to us was Cuomo, and
Sliwa.
Okay, but did Sliwa drop the hat?
Within the Democrats.
Did Sliwa drop the hat because he was never going to have a chance with that hat? Did he drop the hat?
Yeah, I haven't seen it as
okay,
much.
good. All right, so he's
no, I mean, listen. Here's the thing. Like, a lot of people, there's a big debate online. Well, Cuomo has given us no excuse for Republicans to vote for him.
Yeah.
And I get that. And, Cernovich, who I greatly respect, is saying, Sliwa shouldn't drop out. Cuomo should drop out, and they should all vote for Sliwa. I don't care which direction it goes. But, I mean, to be fair, this is a Democrat city. So if you actually want to have a chance to beat Zoran Mamdani with all the, normal people coming out to the polls, it does make some sense that it should go to the Democrat, right? And we all understand that Sliwa basically has no real chance.
I don't say it should make sense to go to the Democrat. I would say it is understandable, looking at the polls, to say Sliwa, even if we should support him, is in a distant third.
Yes.
And if he were to drop out and people voted Cuomo, we could avert a really nasty disaster for New York City. And, Charlie and I would talk about this, that we do not abandon our cities. We do not say, oh, they just deserve this, every bad thing that happens to them.
Hey, man, as a resident Californian, I can say that the right absolutely does abandon parts of the country. We've been totally abandoned for many years out there. And so it's interesting for me to watch this.
And even then, true heroism is sometimes you actually have to step up and try to save people who are not great and don't want to be saved. And maybe that's what's going to happen. And if New York does choose this, they will get what they voted for. Very emphatically.
It's It's not going to be pretty. I think we're going to talk about the ballroom in the next segment, which is just another really juicy topic. We will be right back at the Charlie Kirk Show. Don't go anywhere.